What is up, guys? Welcome back to CageChat MMA. We're here for the UFC 255 pre-show, of course. We have got two flyweight titles on the line tonight, obviously, the men's and the women's. And we've got Deiveson Figueiredo versus Alex Perez, whilst in the co-main event, we've got Valentina Shevchenko up against Jennifer Maia. Now, it's nice to see these two divisions get some love and get a slot on a pay-per-view by themselves. Normally, you'd probably see both of these two on probably a co-main and a third fight on a triple header, maybe something like UFC 206 or 245, sorry, where we had Usman Covington, Max Holloway, Volkanovski, and then obviously Nunes and GDR was on that fight. Of course, the random A2 was on that card. But it is flyweight night, and it's going to be a fantastic weekend. The card, albeit maybe not on the eye, is going to be so pleasing. Whereas, it hasn't got the big names in terms of the Conor McGregor's, it could be the John Jones and whatnot. But it's a fantastic bout and a fantastic card nonetheless. It's got some amazing potential fight tonight. It's got some names that, Deiveson Figueiredo or Alex Perez tonight, whoever walks away the flyweight champion, will build themselves a name tonight. And obviously, it's massive for the sport in terms of this was a division that, 24 months ago was looking like it wouldn't exist in 2020. Obviously, Henry Cejudo, the messenger, came through, saved the division, and of course went to bantamweight, became the champion there, built that Triple C brand up, and obviously retired. But Deiveson Figueiredo, obviously at the start of this year, this division was, well, actually I said the start of this year, it was the start of this year. The division, went vacant, of course, after UFC 249, once Henry Cejudo beat Dominic Cruz. He relinquished the belt, of course. But before that, we did see this bout, of course, Deiveson Figueiredo. Joseph Benavidez was for the title, but on the night, Figueiredo missed weight, of course, beat Joseph Benavidez, but because he missed weight meant he wasn't eligible to become champion on the night. They ran it back, of course, a couple months later, and he made weight, which was the most important part, and he certainly left no questions about whether he should be the flyweight champion right now, and he's someone who could be as dominant maybe as Demetrius Johnson. Now, he's 32 years of age, so age isn't on his side like it was DJ's. But this guy hits pretty damn hard, and Joseph Benavidez found that out on both occasions, really. It was just that Figueiredo, God of War, is his name, his nickname. But, in that rematch, he submitted Joseph Benavidez, but it wasn't for the lack of trying to knock out Benavidez, at least. Now, of course, originally on this card, it was meant to be Cody Garbrandt moving down to flyweight from, obviously, former bantamweight champion. Had some success at bantamweight, a lot of success at bantamweight. Was on a couple ends of a couple bad losses. Obviously, came back against Rafael Sanchel this year, knocked him out, and then he set sights on what is probably for him a more favourable title opportunity with the bantamweight division being so stacked. You got the likes of obviously Petty Yan, Aljamain Sterling for the title. You got Frankie Edgar, you got Corey Sandhagen, you got absolute killers in that division. Whereas in the flyweight, having been a former champion himself, he's probably got a bit more leeway to go straight for that title. And it's a fight I'd still be interested in, and I'm still interested to see if Cody Garbrandt has plans to move down to flyweight, perhaps. But to focus on tonight, we'll have a quick look at the table. Of course, 19-1 up against 24-5. Sorry, 5-5 versus 5-6. Both of them made the weight by half a pound as well. 68 versus 65.5 reach. So obviously, Figueiredo takes the advantage there, but you could also see an equal leg reach. So that's going to be interesting. Obviously, Perez's last one against Susie Formiga was via leg kicks. Obviously, Formiga's now been released by the UFC, so he's actually no longer in the organization, which is a little upsetting, you could say. But I'm sure, the UFC has its reasons. Just my camera freezes there. Sorry, but yes, 28 years of age, former Contender Series alumni as well. So he could be, should he win tonight, become the first champion from the Contender Series, which would be a huge, hallmark for the Contender Series, which, ironically just finished this week with the fourth season, where I think 36 names and fighters were signed up. One of them two of them actually fighting tonight, you should say. But yeah, you got obviously Perez coming in on a 3-fight win streak, while Deiveson Figueiredo is coming on a 5-fight win or 4-fight win streak. Sorry, since his last performance. And we'll have a quick look at the last 5 fights now. As you mentioned there, both of them 4 wins in the last 5. 2 of them, of course, Figueiredo against Benavidez. Then it was a submission against Tim Elliott and a decision against Alexandre Pantoja. On the flip side, you got a 3-fight win streak for Alex Perez. Currently, with wins over Jose Formiga, Jordan Espinosa, Mark De La Rosa, and a loss to Joseph Benavidez and Jose Torres, he beat at UFC 227 by KO. So yes, both of them on that similar path, and this is probably the right fight to make, you'd imagine. Looking at the bantamweight rankings, at least it's not too close in terms of competition. At least there's a couple of names. Askar Askarov, I would say you could put up there to come next in line for the title. Should whoever wins tonight, you would say that Askar Askarov is next in line. Of course, who are fighting the two who are fighting in Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royval, both fighting tonight in that prelim headliner at least. So you'd expect one of those two, if they get a superb win tonight, be next in line for that title. I'd like to see Brandon Royval maybe get a shot after a successful 2020 he's had. And my PC is running pretty slowly, so I do apologise if I keep freezing. Get your predictions down in the comments below as well. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. Let's have a quick look at looking at the flyweight rankings here for the men at least. Benavidez is still within a title shout if he's not, if he's not retired officially. I don't think he has yet, or I've not seen it at least. So, if Figueiredo loses his title tonight, he could, build up Joseph Benavidez versus Alex Perez. Obviously, Benavidez as a win over Perez that we just seen there. And, it would still be nice to see a title wrapped around the waist of Benavidez at least. But yes, looking at the rankings right now, you're looking at Kai Kara Francis maybe, who's obviously part of that City Kickboxing team as well. But it's not too close in terms of who you're going to pick out for the next one. I'd say, yeah, whoever wins tonight, Brandon Royval or Moreno, would be getting the next shot for me. Now moving on to, of course, the co-main event. It's Valentina Shevchenko. Sorry, my nose is proper itchy. But hey, we move. Is up against Jennifer Maia. Of course, Jennifer Maia earned a shot off the back of that win against Joanne Cordwood, who was originally meant to fight Valentina Shevchenko back in August for this title, but unfortunately Shevchenko picked up an injury and had to get off an operation, which meant that she was no longer to be able to compete against Joanne Cordwood, the first Scottish woman to potentially fight for a title. Of course, that opportunity got taken away from her through maybe her braveness, although you could say it's almost stupidity at this point. But she stepped in the cage against Jennifer Maia, but got submitted with an armbar in that very first round. So Jennifer Maia skipped the queue, and here we are tonight. We've also had a couple of strawweights move up a division now into our flyweight. Cynthia Caldio fights tonight, of course, and Jessica Andrade, a former strawweight champion, of course, is now the number one contender. So I'd imagine, if Cynthia Caldio gets a win tonight, I'd imagine Jessica. Actually, you could say even if Katlyn Chookagian wins tonight, it'd probably be more inclined to give the chance to Jessica Andrade, with her having been the former champion, obviously Chookagian having already faced the champion as well. It would be a fresh matchup. But for Cynthia Caldio, if she wins, I mean, I think it's safe to say that Jessica Andrade nonetheless does get the next opportunity at the flyweight champion, whoever it is at the end of the night. But yeah, Cynthia Caldio puts in a very good performance, and she has beaten two flyweight contenders who have both lost to Valentina Shevchenko, albeit it wasn't ultimately competitive matches. The flyweight division is quite. The champion is dominant, very much like the light heavyweight division was with John Jones at the helm. It's not only until Valentina Shevchenko vacates or retires or eventually does get beaten, albeit that doesn't seem very likely at the moment. It is until that happens that we see a more fruitful flyweight division, of course. But we'll have a quick look at the teletape nonetheless. Obviously 19-3 up against 17-6-1, of course. Both of them similar height, 5'5", 5'4", both of them made weight. Of course, 3-inch reach advantage of Valentina Shevchenko, which is going to be pivotal for her. She's such a technician when it comes to the striking. It's beautiful and very, very violent, almost as violent as Kayla Harrison's was last night. You could say Invicta FC 43. That was a brutal elbows in a first win at featherweight, of course, against Ariana Lipski. Not Ariana Lipski. I'm reading Arian's comment. Is against Courtney King. But yes, I think it's hard to bet against Valentina Shevchenko at the moment, and she doesn't look like someone who is turning away, who's becoming almost too big to boots, maybe like Ronda Rousey did. Maybe it doesn't seem like Valentina Shevchenko is taking a right after competition at least. And you could arguably say she could be afforded that with all due respect to the flyweight division. There isn't too much competition there where you're thinking this is going to be a tough matchup for her. A lot of people want to see Valentina Shevchenko either move up again to fight Nunes or take on Weili Zhang, who's the strawweight champion. But yeah, it's a tricky one to decide, isn't it? But I think out of the two flyweight titles tonight, I think Valentina Shevchenko has a better opportunity of retaining. Not saying that Figueiredo won't retain, but I just think Valentina Shevchenko and the betting numbers at least prove or show and reflect that Valentina Shevchenko is rightfully the heavy favourite. But I would say, with all due respect to Perez, I'm expecting 2 and steals tonight, but we've seen stranger things in MMA, and of course this sport isn't guaranteed, it's not scripted, so it could go either way. But again, I think Figueiredo makes his first title defense, and hopefully we get to see Garbrandt Figueiredo come up very soon. But we'll have a quick look at the flyweight rankings as a whole. Of course, Valentina Shevchenko, as we mentioned, at the helm. Jessica Andrade, of course, the number one contender after beating Katlyn Chookagian this year, of course. Then it's Jennifer Maia, who's like the title. She beat Joanne Cordova, dropped all the way down to 7th now. You're looking at Cynthia Calvillo, Lauren Murphy. You kind of, if you're in the matchmakers, you're kind of hoping Cynthia Calvillo gets a win tonight, rather than, with all due respect, Katlyn Chookagian getting a win where you've already seen the outcome of her fighting for the belt, of course. Obviously, Roxanne Modafferi is always in that top 10. Andrea Lee's, Macy Barber's coming back very soon as well. And obviously, you've got Alexa Grasso coming through equally. So it would be, it's a division that's still got some growing to do and some development to do. But again, it does remind me of the light heavyweight division that we saw last year and the year before, where you're looking at your Dominic Reyes, you're looking at your Jan Blachowicz, who's now champion, you're looking at those sort of guys, Volkan Ozdemir, of course, Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos. They're almost the equivalent. You could say of Jessica Andrade, Chookagian, Jennifer Maia, Calvillo, Murphy, in terms of ranking at least. Maybe not in terms of skill, but if you match up Andrade, Chookagian, Maia, Calvillo, Murphy, one another, you're getting a very equally anticipated fight, an equally contested fight as well. But you're not going to get that by the looks of it, at least with Valentina Shevchenko. It could be very much a one-way route. Again, looking at their last 5 fights, as you'd imagine, the champion is on a 5-fight win streak, of course. 3 defenses now, of course. She picked up the inaugural or vacant belt in that fight, UFC 231 against Yoni and Jacek after a decision, of course. And obviously Jennifer Maia 3 in her last 5, having lost to Liz Carmouche and Katlyn Chookagian. She's been, the latest of Modafferi, Alexis Davis, and of course most recently Joanne Cordova. So it is a fantastic bout, but I don't see it being very close here. Now, talk of the town yesterday was, of course, he's been a talk for a little while, was obviously Mike Perry, of course. And he is fighting Tim Means. He was supposed to be facing Robbie Lawler originally, but unfortunately Robbie Lawler pulled out of that fight. And obviously Mike Perry, he missed weight by 4.5 pounds. And of course, he's made it very clear this year that he's not had a team or a camp. His pregnant fiance now was in his corner the last fight and is again tonight, of course. But he's not in a good place, is he, Mike Perry? Obviously, there's a lot of talk in the media and the papers and about his personal life that isn't good for him at all. And it looks like he needs some help. It looks like he needs some time away from the octagon. Obviously, we're not going to get into the in depths of what he's been a part of so far, and what his name and what he's been doing outside of the octagon. But tonight he was offering the highest bidder almost for a title or for a place in his corner, should I say. Darren Till put his hand up, and maybe he could have needed Darren Till, obviously, with that weight cut that he's now failed. It's not a good look for Platinum, is it? And it could be, if he loses tonight, he's then 3 losses in 4 fights, with that one win against Mickey Gall, which was a very dominant win. But again, with all due respect, it's not a huge win in the UFC. Mickey Gall isn't someone that you're going to look over their resume and go, geez, this guy beat Mickey Gall. It's more like, oh, you beat Mickey Gall, who's a young pedigree, someone that you're going to look to beat to get into that top 15, maybe. He's not going to someone who's going to set you up for a title run. With all due respect. So, yes, a loss tonight against Tim Means again. Tim Means is 36 years of age, so he's on that elder side of the spectrum now. But again, and even him, he's on a huge sort of differential in terms of wins and losses. He's four wins in what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 in 9 wins, or 4 wins in 9 fights, should I say, which is horrendous form as a fighter. And he's definitely shown that he's on the other side. And you see that the guys he's lost to: Alex Oliveira, Bilal Muhammad, Sergio Moraes, Nico Price, Daniel Rodriguez, who fights tonight, of course. They're names who are on the come up that you'd expect. Tim Means wasn't a gimme, but someone who you build your resume off and a name off, rather than, as you develop as a fighter, you get given these legends and these elder statesmen of the sport to get a win off. But yeah, Mike Perry's not in a good place, and you don't want to see a fighter lose. I'm not going to say I want to see him lose, but it feels like he's not in the right mental place, and he's not mature at all. He's got issues that he needs sorting out, pretty much. And I'm hoping he takes a year or two out of the cage. He loses tonight, he gets cut. You'd hoping that would be a turning point for him where he can look back and go, shit, I've just been dropped from the biggest organization in the world. And it's something he can use for his beneficial for the future of his career, because he is talented, but he just doesn't use his brain enough. But it is what it is, I guess. It's just unfortunate. We see a lot of it in this sport at time to time. Now we move on, of course, to Katlyn Chookagian versus Cynthia Calvillo. Of course, Cynthia Calvillo made her flyweight debut, against Jessica Rai earlier this year, back in June, in that main event, and she beat her by unanimous decision. It's quite clear as well. It wasn't one of those 3-2. I think it was a 4-1 or a 5-0 in terms of rounds at least. But she's come back. Obviously Jessica Rai got knocked out viciously by Valentina Shevchenko. And it looks like Cynthia Calvillo can get a win over Katlyn Chookagian. She's put her name to be at least number 1, if not on number 2, to Jessica Andrade for a title shot with a win tonight against Katlyn Chookagian. Obviously, Chookagian, as we mentioned before, a win here for her would probably put her back in line for a rematch against Valentina Shevchenko, but it's not a fight I particularly want to watch or see right away. Katlyn Chookagian herself is 3 losses out of the last 5 fights, or 6 fights, with wins against Joanne Quidderwood, Jennifer Maia fights for the title, of course, and Antonina Shevchenko, the sister of Valentina. Before that, she'd lost to Jessica Rai, and then she was on a 3-fight win streak before that. So she does go up and downs and through peaks and troughs. And that shows the closeness of this division, albeit apart from the champion itself. So, I'm going to predict a Cynthia Calvillo win for this one tonight. And I do know that the card's just started as well. So I moved on pretty quickly, obviously. The final fight on the main card is obviously Mauricio Shogun Rua and Paul Craig. Of course, these two have fought before. That ended in a draw this time last year. In fact, about a week out, 16th of November 2019, these two fought. And it was a split draw. And they're running it back tonight, obviously. Shogun Rua came back and beat Antonio Nogueira this year, of course, only 4 months ago now. He's on a 2-fight win streak with Tyson Pedro being the other winner before losing to Anthony Smith before those 2 wins in that draw. Now Paul Craig, he's also on a 2 wins in the last 3. He came back and beat Antigulov, of course, via triangle choke in round 1. Beardew, we know him for his submission victories and his beautiful jiu-jitsu transitions that we see on the ground before. Obviously, Vinicius Moreira, became a victim of that rear naked choke. Kennedy and Nchukwu, of course, lost that fight with 40 seconds left to go. Magomed Ankalaev, of course, 4 minutes 59 seconds of round number 3, tapped out to that triangle choke. So you're kind of hoping that Paul Craig does get a win here tonight. It is one that could see him get pushed up quite highly in the light heavyweight rankings. He's at number 15 at the moment in that division. So a win here tonight would push him past Shogun, who is in 14th, so it could push him up one spot. But again, he's got a win over Ankalaev, who just beat Iron Kutalaba, of course. So you could rebook that match, perhaps, maybe ask him to do it in a more definitive fashion, not need the whole 14 minutes 59 seconds that he used the last time. But again, you could book him against Jimmy Crute, Ryan Spann. All those are fantastic fights, although I believe Ryan Spann is fighting Misha Cirkunov next. Now, tonight's card has got a wonderful prelims to it as well. The main card is very decent. I'd probably give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10 compared to some of the other cards. That December 19th ESPN card is looking beautiful to set out the year. It had Edwards, Chimaev, Thompson, Neal, Aldo Chito there, of course, on that card. And a couple more got announced today. Mikael Pereira is fighting on that card against Chaos Williams, who just got that fantastic knockout last week. So yes, Brandon Moreno 17-5-1 up against Brandon Royval, who only made his debut this year, I believe, didn't he? He made his debut in the UFC against Tim Elliott, to beat him via arm triangle choke, and then beat Kai Kara France as well with a guillotine. So he's had a fantastic year, and a win tonight would set him up. Probably, maybe Askar Askarov needs a new opponent, and we've got the flyweight rankings here actually. So yes, you see Brandon Royval in 6th and Brandon Moreno in number 2. So you'd imagine that win for Royval would put him in fact next in line. But whoever wins tonight at least will get a title shot, I'd imagine. So yes, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Brandon Royval win. I think he gets another submission win and puts him on 3-0 for 2020 in the UFC, and a fantastic way to round out the year. Now, of course, we can't go through a Valentina Shevchenko card without talking about her sister Antonina, who also fights on the prelims tonight. Antonina Shevchenko coming off the back of the loss to Caitlin Chukagian. She then before that beat Lucy Podloza, and of course lost to Roxanne Modafferi. So she's 2-2 in her last 4 fights, unfortunately. But before that, a fantastic run that got her to 6-0 before she came through the Contender Series, of course. Or I don't know, the Ultimate Fighter, sorry. Oh no, she wasn't a Contender Series. She got a win in the Contender Series, then came back and fought in the Ultimate Fighter 28th finale. So yeah, it's going to be a good battle, I think. And Ariana Lipski, obviously the Queen of Violence, pulled in a fantastic knee bar victory against Luana Carolina. 4 months ago now, on UFC Fight Island. Of course, she got that one. I believe it was on Fight Island anyway. A fantastic knee bar in that first round. Her jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. She lived up to her name of the Queen of Violence that night. She's on a 2-fight win streak after that loss to Molly McCann and Joanne Cordova back-to-back in her UFC debuts. But again, former KSW champion, I believe, at flyweight, of course. And she's got, a fantastic highlight reel, and I hope she will be adding to that tonight against Antonina Shevchenko. But this fight could be very close. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be one that is up for any sort of award tonight in terms of fight of the night or performance of the night bonuses, unless one of them, if Ariana Lipski gets a fantastic submission victory again, she could be walking away with 50k. But tonight's one of those cards where it's got a lot of potential on it. You'd imagine the main and co-main at least could get performance bonuses each, as well as could Mike Perry if he pulls out a fantastic knockout as well. But the prelims, Jacqueline Buckley's fighting tonight against Jordan Wright. Of course, Jacqueline Buckley with that fantastic spinning back kick, of course, against Impe Kesangane. Again, probably knockout of the year, you would say at least. It's definitely out there as a contender. Nonetheless, the former LFA champion came through, made his debut on very short notice against Kevin Holland. Didn't get the job done on that night, but he showed potential, and I was impressed by him on the night. And then he came back and put on that stellar performance against Kasangane, and now he fights tonight against Jordan Wright, who of course is from that Contender Series as well. He came in this year, I believe, at least. Let's find out now. Yeah, he came through the Contender Series. Okay, yeah, he fought in the Contender Series back in 2018, but it was a no contest. But he's come back from LFA, and he's on a fantastic run himself as well. Obviously 11-0 undefeated, but Jacqueline Buckley 11-3. As we mentioned, 1-1 in the UFC, and he'll be looking to make it 2-1 in the UFC tonight. That's going to be a stellar performance. I think that could have a fight of the night, performance of the bonus potential written all over it as well. I'm going to back Buckley for that one tonight. I think there's a lot of hype around Jacqueline Buckley now. Of course, the viral moment that went around socials. He needs to get a good win tonight to not look like a one-trick pony or the 15 minutes of fame. We want to see him develop his career in the UFC because it could be something special to watch, and it could be a name to watch in the top 15 come next year. So yes, I think it's a good place to leave it. The prelims are underway at the moment, of course, and yeah, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, of course. Make sure to hit that like button as well on Facebook, and hit follow if you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys on the next video.